going to go right into our next thing, which is very important, is our Community Advocates of the Year Award. The two people who are this year's advocates, I would say that I really honestly wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing, and I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing at the level I'm doing it if it wasn't for Kirk Hall and Malenna Sumrall. So Kirk Hall, again, I give him a lot of credit for getting me into palliative care, and I give him a lot of credit for seeing things in me that I didn't see in myself. But very early on, I remember him inviting me to a support group meeting where he wanted to talk about death with dignity, where he wanted me to know about the fact that people with Parkinson's disease have a fear of dementia that's oftentimes greater than the fear of death. He introduced me to a book by Tom Grabois on life in the balance, a cardiologist who had Lewy body disease. And then since that time, he has been an amazing support group leader. He's written 2 children's books about Grandpa Shaky Paws. He's written a blog. Actually, I think for all of the Parkinson's patient advocates, just as I'm oftentimes a center of gravity for neuropalliative care, like Captain Kirk is that center of gravity for the Parkinson's patient community. Just done so much around the country. Randy, who's here, I think is connected to Kirk. Gil Thalen, who has an amazing foundation in Georgia and is doing great work, got into neuropalliative care because of Kirk. He has a background, which I think is relevant. He was a vice president for marketing for American Express, and so he brings that lens to things. He's also very involved in his church and is a very spiritual person, and he brings that lens to things. He's published papers. He's given talks for the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. So just an amazing amount of accomplishment in the second career that was spurned by the fact that he had Parkinson's disease and he wanted life to be better for people with Parkinson's. Similarly for Malenna, who I've had the pleasure and honor to work with, and I've learned so much for. She also comes with a background, a PhD in educational research. Her husband was a social worker, and prior to Lewy body, had a very impressive career and a lot of publications and a lot of success in academics, and then has gone on to have a second career, which is equally impressive, including papers, including presentations to the National Academy of Sciences. She's my go-to person when people want to set up a peer navigator program. I think her and Kirk have been either part of or leading almost all of the patient advisory councils and patient family advisory councils for our work. There's a ton of papers that I wouldn't have written at all without Malenna's insights. So yeah, I ask you to both come up, leave the stage to you, but really want to thank you both for your impact on me, but also for the impact on the wider world of palliative care through your publications, the work you've done for individuals with Parkinson's, the teaching you've done to healthcare teams and patient and family advocates is immeasurable.
Well, thank you, Benzie, and thank you all for being here this morning. I feel like I should start by thanking all of you for all that you do for people like me who depend on you for our well-being, and you make our lives so much better by virtue of the things that you, not only that you do for us from a medical standpoint, but for us as people, which means at least as much what you do for us medically. So thank you. Slides, what am I looking at? Okay. Malenna and I have a short amount of time that we want to spend just giving you some insights into how we got involved in what we're doing uh, for INPCS, as well as the uh, patient and care partner population at large. We really wanted to focus on the future of advocacy, so that's one of the themes that we're talking about, and ways that we can keep the ball rolling, because we have done this much, and there's this much to be done. It's going to require a community, a village. So as I put together the few things that I wanted to say, I wanted to talk about things that were likely to not bore you to tears and possibly give you some information that would give you some insights into why this means so much to me. So it's less cut and dried and more, I think, looking inside what has led me to where I'm at now. First thing that I had wanted to talk about was my journey. Can we go to the next slide? What will I do that? What do I press this? Okay. Sorry, okay. An INF journey. Now, if that means anything to you, you're probably Sandhya. Sandhya, where are you? What this is referring to is Myers-Briggs. That's been, to me, it's been kind of like the oxygen for planning my life, making sense out of what I want to be when I grow up. So I list here a number of the descriptions of people who are fit the category, one of the 16 Myers-Briggs categories descriptive of INFJs. So if you look at that, they sound interesting and not very humble. And that was intentional, but that's what they are. So I think the thing that's interesting about that is when you look at what we do, you look at that list that describes me. I didn't make up that list. Kind of pretty accurate description of what we do. So when I see that, I say, well, maybe I made a good choice when I got involved with INPCS because it fits. And that's what I've always thought was a good goal for myself and others that I've worked with. You have to forgive me, I have cotton mouth from medication that I'm taking, so if I'm hard to understand, I apologize. Can people hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this was the kind of information that I learned years ago that I've used for making decisions as I've gone along by looking for a fit between what I see as who I am and what I'm looking at, getting involved in, or people that I'm talking about doing things with. Is there a fit there that makes sense for me and for them? Next slide. Okay, that is not me. When I was, miracles happen, and I can testify that for whatever reason, I have been fortunate. I have been blessed in ways that I don't understand. And this was a very early example of that. I was probably 3 years old and had gone to bed. My mom discovered that I had got up and vacated the bed to do more interesting things. So she looked across the street, and there I was in my little truck or whatever. And unfortunately, I was parked behind a vehicle, some kind of truck, a delivery truck or something, the house across the street in the driveway. And as she looked and watched, I was sitting in it, and the truck started up and was getting ready to leave. Well, that brought with danger. So as she watched, my colleague named Nikki came over and grabbed me by the back of the neck and dragged me off the side of the driveway. The truck backed up and backed right over what I was in. And be here. That's the fact. A miracle. And I wanted to share that with you because it's, I think, a defining moment, the beginning of something that I'm still trying to understand, but it has left me with a clear belief that miracles, in fact, do happen. Okay, that, in fact, is me. What I'm wearing there is very similar blue. It's a prayer shawl. What I can share with you is I was sitting in my living room where I lived and thinking about what I was going to do with my life. And I had been going through an introspective period with Parkinson's, trying to figure things out, make sense of it. And I got to the point where I was trying to decide what to do next. Doorbell rang, and ladies from our church came to drop off this prayer shawl, something that was meant to give me comfort, where when I was reading the Bible, contemplating life, and I just was extraordinarily moved. Boy, you could never convince me that wasn't that exact moment in time when I was trying to decide what to do, that they dropped this off and helped me to decide to try to do things, not for myself, looking inward, but look outward and try to find ways that I can make a difference for other people, what I was learning and had been learning for the last couple of years. Palliative care is something that Benzie has given you some background on. Obviously, it's been our mission together, I guess, about 20 years ago. And it was something that meant a lot to me, meant a lot to all of us, and play a part in the development of the research and so forth. And this logo that you see here was something that they've developed as part of a patient perspective website to try to help people understand what Parkinson's palliative care was about. And then becoming involved in the patient care partner council for Parkinson's palliative care. These are just examples of things that I was involved in my advocacy. I had written a blog that was voted one of the top 10 Parkinson's blogs for about 6 consecutive years by Health Care Magazine. World Parkinson Congress. I was a blogger partner for that. This logo here, though, Faith Love, was the logo they developed for the Patient Perspective website, which was meant to be a source of information for people interested in Parkinson's disease from a patient perspective, which there wasn't really much of that available. I wrote 4 books, which Benzie talked about my children's book. I wrote a book, and all I can tell you is that my book, the one that meant everything to me, was the Window of Opportunity book, and it was about wanting to tell people who are interested and patients my sense of the truth of living with Parkinson's and fear of dementia. So that's what this book did. And when I read the foreword by Dr. Kluger, I can tell you it was something that really just, it really blew me away. If I ever want to, if I'm feeling down, I can read that and feel kind of good about myself. Thanks to you. And okay, here's the books. These are my grandchildren who's sitting there, paying attention. This was taken back in the years when we were in the midst of doing all this stuff, and doctor, patient, advisor, author, partner in crime, our relationship evolved, and here we are today. All these things plus friends, which is really very cool. And when I say our team really, I'm talking about the Shaky Paws Grandpa, the caregiver, patient feedback, everything. Malenna has been with me from the start of our work on palliative care. The blessing. I love her and she knows it. And my wife, who is everything to me. Couldn't do it without her. And Sandhya is a fellow INFJ who I have resonated with, and knowing her has been a high point in my life. So thank you for putting up with this long-winded presentation. Malenna.
Okay, so my story. It begins with my husband, Ray. We discovered each other kind of late in life. It was a second marriage for both of us. This is a picture of us about a year after we were married, and so everything was good then. That was about 12 years before he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. So we had a pretty nice, decent amount of time together before that hit. The next picture, I can hardly see it. I'm sure it's bigger up here. Was taken in 2005. So that was 5 years after diagnosis. And he was still doing pretty well. You can sort of see maybe that he's using like a walking stick or a hiking pole to help him keep his balance, but still everything was really pretty good. The next picture is at his retirement party in 2010. He didn't want to retire. He loved his work so much, and if it hadn't been for the cognitive dysfunction, he would have kept on. He was 75 when he retired, and he would still be doing it if he could. And you can see, I don't know if you can see there, but he is in a wheelchair at that time. The next picture was taken 2 weeks before he died. So you can see, he certainly changed during that time, but the one thing that is consistent is that he's always smiling. I love that. Close to the end of his journey, after he'd had Parkinson's for 14 years, we moved to Colorado. And by that time, I was kind of at the end of my rope. and I wasn't real sure what was going to happen, but we needed to be out here because we had a son out here. So we knew we were going to get connected with the University of Colorado, and I don't know if Benzie knows this. We were actually assigned to 2 other people before we ended up with him, and then they kept saying, "Oh, never mind. We've changed it to this person. We've changed." So you were the 3rd choice. But the best, honest to goodness, what a difference that made. He looked at us both and he kind of summed us up real quickly, and he thought, you guys need palliative care. And we didn't know what that was, but we thought, well, it sounds good, we'll take it. And it really was. It was a game changer. Sometime during one of our appointments, and I don't know what I said, he said, well, would you be interested in talking to this working group that I'm going to have coming up, an international working group? I said, well, okay, I get it. And he connected me with Kirk, and off we went. So this is a picture of us at that first working group. It was really, really helpful, and I was really amazed at how all these neurologists and people from actually around the world at that time were just really dedicated to this whole idea. So after that, the next step was being on an advisory council, and I'll flip through some of this. I've served on just about every advisory council I think he's had, and I love every bit of it. I'm not going to spend too much detail. The first one was where I really got started talking to support groups and kind of reaching out a little bit more. One of the things that we learned from that study was that patients and care partners wanted to talk to people who knew what it was like. And so we decided to start a peer navigator program in the clinic so that I would be in the clinic in case a care partner wanted to talk to somebody. And we had a Parkinson's patient who would do the same thing. And then from that, I thought, well, okay, we really need something in the way of support groups that would make it easier for care partners. And so I started a Zoom group that's been going now for 5 years. And they're an amazing group. It's really been interesting to watch them over time. I won't spend too much time about all these other things that I've been advisory councils. INPCS, I don't think I got started right at the very beginning, but it was just a few months into the beginning of INPCS. I served on the membership committee, and I've been working with a task force of family advocate members, and now we're going to start another task force, it looks like, on advocacy, so that's pretty exciting. And then other things, just, whenever Benzie says, would you like to do this? Would you do this for me? You don't say no, do you? So I've done other things as well and ended up on some journal articles that I never expected. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, we're actually on one now in Tasmania. Who knows? So, where are we now? Well, one of the things that I'd like to see is that we can increase the membership of family members, encourage and support advocates, and highlight the work that's being done by family members, advocates, and so forth. Those of you that are doing research, you get publications and stuff, you get all kinds of accolades from that. There really isn't much that lifts these people up like that, so we really need to pay attention to some of that. There are a lot of unsung heroes out there that need to be paid attention to. I'm really excited about what this organization can accomplish. It's an honor to be working with all of you. I learn from all of you. And I especially want to thank Kirk and Benzie for lighting a fire underneath me, and to all of you who have inspired me and enriched my life. Most of all, I thank Ray, who shared his passion for helping others and his life with me. And so this is a plaque that I had put up at the Wild Animal Sanctuary outside Denver. And I think it really kind of sums up what we're all aiming for, to end suffering. And that's why we're here. And that's why you're doing what you do and doing it so well. Thank you very much for the honor. I appreciate it.
on what can we as a society, and also all of people in the room who are healthcare providers, researchers, like what would you say are the key lessons that might help encourage and inspire the patients and families that want to work with them?
Well, a couple of thoughts. I think, for one, it needs to be really, the organization needs to be really user-friendly. And, I'd love to see more people like us at the conferences, but it costs money and we don't get reimbursed for making the trips. And of course, sometimes the physical challenges and so forth. But I think just opening things up a little bit wider in different ways to be able to be more inclusive.
One of the things I noticed right away when I got involved with advocacy was that people listen to us with different ears than when they're listening to people in the medical field, just because we had walked a mile in their moccasins. So I was struck by that right away. And anybody who is interested in, has a relationship with Parkinson's or whatever disease we're talking about, you have an opportunity to give back. And it matters because so much has changed since I started out on this road, but we really do have something important to offer, and that is that we live with this disease. We have a perception of things that are true, that can be very, very helpful to people involved in research and medicine to help direct them towards the pursuing the right answers to the right questions. So that's important, I think.
One other thing, I think it's important for us to find ways that family and, certainly patient family members can contribute. You get a lot from being able to add value to whatever you're involved in, and it's very uplifting, but I think we need to find ways that they can make a difference by maybe in different ways that they can advocate, not only, with the organization here, but in all kinds of ways. And and again, if they're doing that, let's highlight it somewhere, maybe in a blog or whatever. Yeah.
To your point on inclusivity, one of the gifts I learned from you all was how to include people with cognitive and communication impairment on an advisory council, and the importance of having printed questions in advance, giving people time to think about things, even giving people time to write out answers. So things that, I think for people outside of neuropalliative care is, why would you have somebody with mild cognitive impairment or dementia on your advisory council? It's because their voice really matters. And then you all taught me how to bring that voice out. I really want to thank you for that. If there's not other questions or other go ahead, Steve.
Hi there, Steve Panelat from UC San Francisco. Thank you for your great work and your great advocacy, and for demonstrating what the patient and caregiver voice really adds to the work. I was really struck by how you became involved. It sounds like maybe Benji just invited you, or I don't know what he said, but I was wondering what you would recommend to all of us in reaching out to patients and caregivers as what's the reward, or what's the reason to get involved, or how to approach people to get involved in advisory councils and other kinds of activities?
First of all, I think it's a matter of trust, because by that time I certainly trusted Benzie and I knew he was doing good work. But he just asked me. He kind of explained what it was, International Working Group, give a quick little speech about, at that end stage, I think, disease was what I talked about. And that was just a small thing. It wasn't a big thing that he asked. But once I got started in that, then you really see the potential, and then you get excited about it. So that's kind of what started me and keeps me going.
There are a lot of routes I was really involved before we actually started talking about things we might work on together. But Parkinson's Foundation was previously Parkinson's Disease Foundation, sponsored a program called PAIR, and the Parkinson's Advocate and Research program is something that patients and care partners can still be involved in. They go through training in different parts of the country so as to be able to participate in research and provide input that's helpful to finding a solution to problems. There's really two motivations that I found that people have. One is to help themselves by virtue of doing these different activities. And the second, even more so for me, is the that you can help other people to find solutions and to make their life better so their quality of life is improved, even if it's not something that you do today that's going to make a difference today. Maybe it will make a difference next year or the year after that. So you're part of an ongoing attempt to find solutions and answers to questions.
Hi, I'm Kathy Kelly, and I wanted to ask you, as advocates, what kinds of things would you like to see changed?
This is a great start. You know, most of the medical treatment that my husband received, which was, you know, up until the last couple of years of his life, was just, you know, go to the doctor, get the pills, that was it. And I was completely unheard. You know, I could sit there in the back and I'm waving my arms and I'm saying, no, you know, what he's telling you is not true. But, you know, I was completely ignored. So I think this is a huge start. I don't know what else to say besides that.
Well, it continues to evolve because the first, I guess it was 2015 when it was actually broached the idea that patients and care partners actually have value. Who knew? You know, we didn't. But since then, it's picked up momentum, and the ways we get involved, it's been something that has just taken on a life of its own. And I think that the things that are being done continue to evolve, and I think just continuing to be part of the conversation and included and interested in hearing what we have to say is important. As long as we continue to do that, I think we're on the right track.
Hi, my name is Rose. I'm wondering what your relationship was with the healthcare system before Parkinson's, and then once that diagnosis was given, what became the priority?
Well, kind of like what I said, before Parkinson's, we really hadn't had any major things that went wrong, but, you know, it was kind of general, visit your PCP, and that was it. As soon as my husband was diagnosed, you know, I just told him, I said, you know, this is not just your disease, this is our disease, and we're going to do it together. And I've told this story before, so if you've heard it, I'm sorry. We went to a general neurologist for a while, and he was, I'm sorry, not very good. You know, he would do things like, even without an office visit, he would call us and say, okay, I've decided to change his medications, just go to the drugstore and pick this up. And he was misdiagnosing symptoms, and finally, when we found a movement disorder specialist, we got that corrected, but the general neurologist was not willing to even listen to me about, it was a conflict between did he have restless legs or did he have the REM behavior disorder? And he kept saying, no, it's restless legs, it's restless legs. And I said, no, I'm sleeping on the floor every night, you know, because he's fighting. And no, it didn't matter, but that all changed. And you can see what a difference there is between that and now what we've got.
The first children's book that I wrote was about communicating to your children or grandchildren about what a parent or grandparent may be going through as a person with Parkinson's, help them understand that in terms that they could digest and would mean something to them. And that opened the door for me to give presentations to support groups. I gave presentations through Medtronic, who produced the deep brain stimulation products that I had deep brain stimulation, so I could speak to that firsthand. And just having the opportunity to interact with people either one-on-one or in groups, that was the way it got started.
Hey, thank you all. Oh,
Can I just say one more thing, real quick? I'm sorry. I'm glad we all three got the blue memo.
Thank you again, Malenna and Kirk, for your insight and wisdom. And Who's the one?